Welcome to the Pixel Pitch Podcast, where one of us pitches a game to the group we all need to play in a year supplied to us from the non-pro computer. I am your host, Al. I am joined by Kit.
Hello.
And Philana.
Hi there.
And hey guys, we're back again in the year of 2001. When the millennium actually started. Don't at me, that's just the truth.
I mean, hey, you're right. At least as far as gaming is concerned.
It's true. And do you want to know the most 2001 game?
I am absolutely interested in what is the most 2001 game that you've decided to pitch for us today.
Absolutely.
It is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Ah, hell yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right?
There's very little out there that's more 2001 than skater culture.
It really is just a distillation of that period of time. You know, you've got famous skateboarders. There are a lot of them, apparently. The only one I know is Tony Hawk.
Rocket Power was on the air!
Rocket Power!
Rocket Power! Yes!
Wiggity, wiggity, wiggity.
People were very invested in the X Games. Goofy participated in an X game in a movie.
Skater Boy was a song?
Skater Boy was a song.
Serves?
Avril Lavigne, how dare you?
Lavigne, there we go. I don't know music.
He was a skater boy. She said, "See you later, boy."
There we go. All right.
Yeah. He wasn't good enough for her.
He was not.
But then he got rich and he got the band, and that was
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was a skater and a musician.
Yep.
Yeah.
She lost.
This is what's so weird about that song. Not to go on a tangent off of video games, guys, but thinking about that song. That is a song written from the woman's perspective, sung by a woman, and she's like sitting there singing about this male power fantasy of being like that dude, like who is just like. Let's be real. Like, I know a lot of guys that were these skater guys with a band who'd pitch to their girlfriends, the band's gonna make it. And, like, that never happened. And this was such a power ballad for guys to be like, but what if it did, babe? You don't know. Look,
you're about to be Avril Lavigne.
Like, that never happened.
Man.
No, this is the only period of time in which that exact person sort of exists,
Yeah.
I am a super cool skateboarder. I'm going to do sick tricks and play my guitar.
This was the only time you had Disney Channel protagonists taking skateboards to school.
Yeah. Because I feel like
no one takes a skateboard anywhere in TV or in real life anymore. You get a Segway.
Nope.
Anyway.
Yeah, the best I ever see are business guys that probably were those skater kids that are rolling down Broadway on their Razor scooter.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get a Segway.
That's not even a skateboard. That's just a scooter.
Yeah. No, because they're too old for a skateboard.
Oh.
I remember trying so hard to try and learn how to skateboard because it was just like the super cool thing at the time. Just
Same.
over and over. Just falling on my butt every single time.
Yeah, I got a lot of bruised knees from that.
I was the weird kid who literally was just kind of like, I just ride a bike. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just like on the.
You wouldn't get it, Al. You didn't want to be a skater boy.
No, I didn't.
You were not afraid of Avril Lavigne saying, "See you later, boy."
No, I wasn't. Apparently, I was not afraid of women seeing me later because that was like, that was just most of my adolescence. Like, that was nothing new to me. It's like, listen, women won't date you because you're not like, riding a skateboard. Like, women ain't gonna date me anyway.
So I'll add that to the list. What else is new?
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, no one's gonna come home and see my Gundam collection and be like, "That's impressive."
You never know.
There was that one guy on Twitter that it worked for him.
That's true. There you go.
But I'm just quick looking up some of the music, and Zebrahead. I mean, your standard like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Alien Ant Farm, but even like it's cool knowing that hey, they were in a game. Like House of Pain is in a game, Zebrahead in a game. Like, hell
Look,
yeah.
the soundtrack for this game is just absolute chef's kiss. 2001,
Oh yeah.
just rocking around on your guitar while also just strolling around on your skateboard. And also, for some reason, Del the funky Homo sapien kindly reminding you to wash your ass, or else you'll be funky.
Wait, was this the game that had the the commercial with my United States of whatever? Was that this?
I have no idea.
Because that was a legend. That was a skateboard game of some kind or other, and that is ingrained in my brain because I know that beat of a song from the commercial like almost by heart because that commercial played over and over and over again. I don't know if that was Tony Hawk or if it was like some other like Tony Hawk ripoff game, but just like, this is my United States of whatever. And it's like, oh my God, like, I could not get that song out of my head.
It was Tony Hawk's Underground. So it was one of the games a couple years after this.
Okay, but like so we're in the right franchise. But like, that's my extent of knowledge about Tony Hawk games, just so everyone knows, is Tony Hawk Underground commercial that played on loop in like the 2000s era TV, because I'd be like watching Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, and that commercial would be on over and over and over and over and over again. And I'd be like, just like in my head, like Officer So-and-so showing up and being like, I thought I told you kids to be like, whatever. Like,
Look, Tony Hawk games were everywhere and on everything. I'm not joking. From 1999 to 2020, that's how many like consistently Tony Hawk games are coming out.
Tony Hawk left the cultural zeitgeist, and he's just good at doing flips on his skateboard. But like, not to devalue that, but like,
he's really good.
He's really good at it, but like, man.
No, it's been on like every console you can imagine, and also the N-Gage, Nokia's attempt at both a cell phone and a video game console.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Tony Hawk was on the N-Gage. Jesus.
It was on the N-Gage.
Oh my God. Like, guys, we really can't understate the relevance of Sir Tony Hawk. Like, well, he was in, not only did he have this video game franchise, he was showing up in all of the cartoons, like all of the movies. Like, I think he showed up in, was that him in Dodgeball, where he just kind of vaguely like craps on Vince Vaughn's character and tells him to like go back and do the protagonist.
I can't. There's something about Tony Hawk wants LeBron James to help him dominate. And then that's where it stops. That's where the headline stops. Thanks, TMZ.
Where was Tony Hawk in Space Jam 2?
You're so right.
He should have been there.
Where was he?
He was busy.
Yeah, because my experience with Tony Hawk has essentially been vicariously consuming knowledge. Like, I had friends that were skaters, and I would watch like Tony Hawk compilations with them and like watch competitions with them, and they would talk about the games, but I never like sat and played them. Yeah. And then especially as I got older, like I was just full up in the memes, and especially modern day, all the memes about like, oh, Tony Hawk, your name's like that skater, and him holding a skateboard is like, yeah, I am that skater. And they're like, yeah, you must get that a lot. You're like that skater.
Oh my God. I am. You know what? Never mind. It's fine.
Yeah.
But like, I really want to say, for all you guys out there that are like, hey, there are much more relevant games from this year to talk about. Like, yes, but you don't understand the importance of this man who is also a brand. Like, you can't talk about this moment in history without touching on this culture and like how big of an impact Tony Hawk has apparently had on video games, the music industry, and extreme sports, and like just like sports, like person actor things, like just kind of like, there weren't a lot of weird cameo sports affiliates before Tony Hawk. Like, you had like some problematic ones, like back in the Naked Gun franchise. But besides that, like Tony Hawk, man, it's like we got to talk about this.
Yeah, he's synonymous with skateboarding. You think
Yeah.
skateboarding, you think Tony Hawk.
And I do think when you think 90s culture in like, no, early 2000s culture in general, you think Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah.
You do. And so I think this is like a cultural poll to kind of like take us back and see like how much does this capture that time period?
Yeah. I think it does.
It does so much. Like it brings me right back. This is one of those games that my fiance had in his in their bedroom. Like they just had the PS2 set up, and whenever we would get together, after school, we'd just hang out, like play some Tony Hawk, and just like chill, jam out, mess around with cheat codes. There are fantastic cheat codes in this game, you guys. You can make your character's head get really big. You can play as Darth Maul for some reason, and it's fabulous.
Ooh, I'm gonna have fun with that pointer.
Yes.
See, I love cheat codes of this time period for that reason. Again, not to get too far off topic, that's one thing that I loved about Silent Hill 3 specifically, is there was, I'm gonna just say the number 20, but I think it's a bit more than that, random codes that you could get from various things. And this is like, that came out in 2003, so this is before internet being widespread. So like there was a code for from Germany and like an Italian magazine, and all of them were just a different t-shirt the main character would wear in the game. But like once you found out that was a thing, it's like, I gotta get all of these cheat codes.
And they're all just the most random things. Yeah. They're all these just like weird things. Like you can unlock just a big succubus lady, and she has a floating skateboard. You can play as her.
What?
Yes.
What?
Big titty demon skateboarder.
I thought we were
Sign me in.
titties after Sonic Adventure 2.
I thought Big Titty Succubus was left in Sonic, but all right.
Not.
Now I have high hopes for the other games we're pitching. Whenever we eventually do a part 2 of 2001, I've got another Big Titty Succubus actually. So,
oh my gosh,
maybe 2001 was the year. Maybe it's the 2 zeros back to back. It's the year of the Big Titty Succubus.
Can't complain. Man. But I'm excited about this because, I'm also excited to talk about this time in popular culture, and I feel like this will be a big flashback to that because we're already like reminiscing. Like I brought up rocket power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm already tripping back into the year of 2001, the space year of 2001 when the future was now. Yeah. Like I'm hyped for this, and I'm ready to just begin like playing my career as Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
See, and I'm a big music person, so I'm really excited to get to hear stuff in context and then get to like really deep dive on the music side of things too.
And now this game is based sort of off of the skateboarding arcade games that were around a lot at this time.
Ooh. Really?
So it's just they took cues from Sega's franchise of Top Skater, which is like a skating racing game. They sort of tweaked it, so it's just like you just do tricks and whatnot, but it's such a really nice, relaxing sort of experience where you glide around on your skateboard. Maybe you trip and fall a little bit. There's a little bit of blood there. It's fine. You get up, and you can design your own character in this one too, which is it's a lot of fun. You can make your characters like 7 feet tall. Yes, you can give your character a tramp stamp if you want to. There's captain's hats. There's so many good things.
I've always wanted to know what it would be like to have a tramp stamp in my life.
I would love to be 7 foot tall skater with a tramp stamp. That was my early 2000s fantasy.
Yep.
As an 8-year-old.
2000s fantasy was to be a big titty succubus. So, we're both
see, Falana, you should have saved that for the end because that's all Al and I are going to be thinking about. To be fair, it's probably all you're thinking about too.
Yes. Well, that and being able to play as Darth Maul.
Yeah,
I mean, that I'm also super stoked about that. Okay, but consider, are we able to mix and match things? Like, can I be a big titty Darth Maul with a tramp stamp? Like, how far does this customization go?
You can't go that far.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, the sliders in the character creation are very nice. You can get real like Creature Factory with it. Just
Ooh. All right.
I will say that Darth Maul inclusion is also weirdly 2001.
That's so, yeah.
It's like, man, because like, listen, Darth Maul is still like hot shit. He is actually like he's still very culturally
100%.
relevant to the Star Wars franchise as a whole. But even that takes me back, like the secret Star Wars characters or stuff like that, or like secret franchise characters in these things, and just the idea that we could talk about the prequels and like immediately 5,000 people will not descend upon you with fires and brimstone and like, you know, Jar Jars in like various amounts of disarray.
Yeah, now it's acceptable.
Yeah, it was acceptable to be okay with the subpar prequels. It was all right to love them because there's still stuff to love there.
I still love them.
I do too.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going back to red and black character design a la Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh. I didn't know Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic Adventure 2 were the same game.
Yes.
I mean, they both have skater sections black in them, so
You're right. You're so right.
Yeah.
Yeah, rail grinding was introduced in Sonic Adventure 2, therefore.
Yeah.
Taking a nod.
Before there was Tony Hawk, there was Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh gosh. Did you guys know that there's a skateboarding section in Spyro 3?
What?
Yes.
Nani?
There's a whole skateboarding minigame. And that came out in the year 2000. So this is like skateboarding is everything.
Yeah, again, we cannot understand like how important skateboard culture or skater culture was, because like it's like like I was just watching the Power Rangers movie not that long ago, and like, you know, Jason David Frank is airboarding his way down, like because he's the cool one, and the cool guy is gonna like surfboard his way down to the bottom of his parachute jump. Like, everyone else just jumps out of the plane as a parachute. No. Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger, has to surfboard his way down out of a plane and onto the landing pad thing.
Yeah. See, because I think that skater culture probably took over because it was kind of like the opposite end. Like, it was the urban surfing, pretty much. Yeah. You could do it in a lot of different places than you could. Like, you could only surf if you were on the coasts, and even then, you kind of had to be West Coast to really get that culture.
At the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s, because it took most of the 90s for the 80s to die, was that sweet spot where white people were trying their best to like steal urban culture. I think skating is kind of that weird part of that.
Yeah. I mean, you are not at all wrong.
Yeah.
But on that delightful gentrification note,
yes.
Like, I'm excited to still play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I can't wait to get into this, and I'm ready to play Darth Maul, the big tittied succubus.
Yes,
for sure. And even if they won't let me do it, I'm gonna find a way to make as close as possible as I can.
There you go.
That'd be amazing.
Dreams.
Yeah. No, I'm making my dream a reality. Right, I'm going to just do it.
Small break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. We've made it all the way here from the far-off grunge years of 2001 of playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I'm a changed man. I'm back to, you know, wearing intentionally cut up jeans with belts that are fitting poorly and hanging off in weird places.
And him t-shirts.
Yep.
All the way that are simultaneously too big for you,
and way too small for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and mullets are still a viable hairstyle choice for your custom characters.
Yes, nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's absolutely valid that we like.
I'm glad to see it represented. It's a very important part of the 90s.
I had such a good time with that character creator, though. Just like having the option to have a tramp stamp and also make your character either 9 feet tall or 4 feet tall.
Man, if there was a person that was 9 feet tall with a tramp stamp, I wouldn't call them out on that. Boy, you can wear whatever you want. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, because that, and then the size difference, but no matter what, this game established that anybody can skate. Anyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter your height, your size, nothing. We're all the same once you get on a board.
Are we sure about that, actually? Because, like, I'm looking over at, like, the starter stats for a few of, like, the skaters, and I remember looking at them, like, not the created ones, but, like, the ones that were available. And I remember looking at the female skaters, and, like, man, they looked like they were intentionally lower than, like, most of the other guy characters. And I kind of felt like, that's a little weird. Are boobs this much of a factor, guys? Come on.
Oh, I did not notice that. That's interesting.
See, it admittedly took me far too long to realize that there were preset characters, because I just immediately went into that character creator and was like, yes,
that's fair.
This is it.
You just got to dive right into just multicolor mohawks and just weird tribal tattoos galore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame you for that. That's like, it's an addictive character creator. It's not obviously it's no Skyrim or any Elder Scrolls game, obviously, but it's just like, here, wear this t-shirt that you like and be whatever punk kid you want to be. You know, live your dream.
Exactly. And it getting back into this game reminded me just how varied alternative kids back in the day and how mixed and crossed over the alternative genres were. Versus nowadays, I feel like alternative is e-girls, e-boys, and that's kind of it. And then that's separate from like the alternative rap kids, the alternative hip hop kids, the alternative nerds. Whereas back in the day, like we all just kind of intermingled.
Yeah, things are much more, I don't know the word, segregated in terms of these subcultures.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's odd. Like, I don't want to say things like back in my day, because that's a very loaded phrase to say. But yeah, I feel like we've definitely hit a different era of alternative, because like I don't think genre is the right word, but any movement, I guess. Like punk used to be very wildly different before a lot of that sort of became alternative, and punk is now sort of its own thing. Metal used to be kind of a little bit of anything. Like, remember hair metal?
Yeah.
It's so antithetical to what metal is now.
Though on that front, metal is, which is a whole other podcast, metal is kind of moving back towards that hair metal vibe in some subsects, which is really nice to see.
Yeah. But it's crazy, though. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, I didn't think of this while playing it, but it's absolutely true. Like, there was this huge, different form of alternative that we were all used to.
Yeah. It's getting a soundtrack that has Zebrahead and AFI on it. To me, like I wasn't quite expecting that, but I'm really glad that I got that, because I forgot that even AFI, who by December Underground, they were kind of roped into the emo goth scene more than anything. They did start off as punk, so they were perfectly at home here.
No, yeah,
like on
and
the soundtrack.
Whenever I think of AFI, I think of, Miss Murder and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then this is straight up a punk track that they have in this video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still floored by the fact that Alien Ant Farm is on here.
Yeah. I love Alien Ant Farm. I love them.
Man, did they push that cover as hard as they could.
It was just that smooth criminal cover, and that was kind of it for Alien Ant Farm for me.
Listen, they put all of their graphic design money into that cover, okay?
Yeah.
Let them have it.
Yeah. No, listen, it was a great cover. No one's going to take it away from them. They did a good job.
But yeah, but it's the eclectic like mixture of some bands that were just like really really popular in that punk and pop punk genre at the time, mixed in with classics like you got your Ramones, you got your Motorhead. Like it was such a fun album, and it really kind of like was great to me.
Absolutely, like Ace of Spades, like that immediately took me back. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, I haven't heard this song in like forever, but it's a classic.
Mhm.
You know, and then of course, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers showed up, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're here now.
Yeah.
A whole new set of different memories came back.
And you know, there's something very particular about this soundtrack where certain songs are just permanently, this is the Tony Hawk song to me, like the Amoeba song. The one where it's just Amoeba. Like when I was a kid, you know, people would swear up and down they were saying Tony Hawk. Like nobody knew the lyrics. It's fine.
As somebody who had no idea that song was in this game, that kind of breaks my heart, but also is so funny to me. I love that.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Redman DJ Cool "Let's Get Dirty" song, that's the one where they like sing like "Brush your teeth," like
That's,
if you must, or is that something
That's
else?
Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Listen, I'm not versed on all of my cool music lyrics here, but that one was very like that one is immediately associated with me now after playing the game because I had never heard that song before. And I was kind of just sitting there like, what? This is a song? Like, just literally about this guy sitting there like, hey, remember to wash your ass.
I love that so much. Like, they knew their audience. They were like, okay, we're going to sit down with these, you know, 14-year-old boys just fresh out of middle school, just all sorts of funky smells. Remember, kids, wash your ass if you must.
Yep.
Yeah. And just overall, like, there's such a tongue-in-cheek aspect to this game. It immediately, as I was playing it, especially like the way that you get, you know, damaged, but like not actually, you don't lose any. Well, you lose whatever combo you were working on.
Yeah.
But the whole thing just had this Jackass vibe to it, like that vintage original Jackass vibe, and I love that. That is so of this time, and you just don't get that anymore.
No.
That is a kids these days. I mean, there isn't really a source of that because that moment in time is kind of past.
You look at like the live action videos versus your player character and how like Tony Hawk is like wearing wrist guards and a helmet, and your guy just goes out there immediately and is kind of just like literally lands on his head and like cracks in the opposite direction. Like it gets back up. It's like Jesus.
Like genuinely snapping your neck constantly.
Oh, yeah. Just face plant directly into concrete.
Yep.
Fall into a vat of lava. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Crispy.
Oh, all of those little post-death comments are just so fun.
Yeah.
Like there's one part in the level Skater Island, you can get to a secret area that's just a pirate ship. You have to land on a pirate flag inside of the level to access it. Anytime you go off the ship into the water, it just says shark bait.
See, because I will say with this game, I enjoyed my experience with it, but I definitely, the most fun for me was watching other people play it because of those kind of things. Because I tried very hard with this game, but I was never one to really play any of these growing up. Mm-hmm. I didn't really play like fighting games or anything. Like I never played anything that was so heavily based on combos and kind of the precision that you need to, say, land on a pirate flag. So for me, watching people that are really good at this game, like giving tours, was a lot of fun to do after the fact.
Wow. That actually does sound pretty fun, because I kind of was hitting around the same problems as you. Not necessarily, because I've played fighting games before. I know how combos work. but it was weird. For whatever reason, the structure of this game wound up not gelling with me. And I definitely remember like just struggling on
Yeah.
certain levels and just being like, I'm not getting past this. I can't do it. For whatever reason, it's like I'm not able to get it across. I don't know if that's just a Tony Hawk 3 thing or if this is just the way Tony Hawk is in general. I am actually anxious to play either the older games or the 1 and 2 remaster at some point or another to see how I fare against it. Because obviously, as sequels go on, they probably become a bit more complex. So I'm not sure if that's like a thing or not. But it definitely, once I moved out of the tutorial, I definitely was hitting a wall pretty hard.
That's something that's really interesting about this game, where my boyfriend described it as trying to play freeform jazz. Like, you just have to sort of go with the flow instead of actively trying to do stuff and just make it up as you go along. Whereas when I was playing this game, what I realized my main issue is that because I play so many other video games, my first instinct is always to be pressing forward on the analog stick to go forward.
Yeah.
If you do that, you just spin around a whole bunch. Like when you're trying to do flips or anything, and therefore you just flop over and just faceplant all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aspects of the control scheme actively work against the skills you've developed by playing other games.
Which, I mean, definitely that feels like the pain that I have suffered because I really enjoyed my time playing this game, but I definitely had the most fun in the free play mode, just messing around on my own time.
Yeah.
This was not the moment that timer was put on it. I couldn't get enough done in that time in a lot of cases.
I absolutely agree. I couldn't have said it better. Like for whatever reason, that timer absolutely kills my momentum when I'm playing this. I would have so much preferred if they had given me some stuff to do and let me loose and I just got around to it when I wanted to, because it was just really frustrating and I couldn't ever get the things done that it was asking me to get done in the time, because I couldn't get used to. I need to be able to try over and over again. And when you reset me, it's that much more frustrating.
No, yeah, the timers are so short. And because the timers are so short, you never quite get used to the layout of the level. So I would find myself constantly like getting lost. I don't know where anything is. I just time out all of the time.
Yeah.
And I will say, because I played the PS2 version, and then this morning I just decided, let me give it a shot. Let me play the GameCube version. And just because of the way, and I love a GameCube controller, it is, other than the Dreamcast controller, one of my favorite controllers. And I do not play well on a Sony controller, but this game was much better on the PS2. Something about trying to do the combos on the GameCube controller did not help this game out at all. It made something that I was already struggling with worse.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That the GameCube controller was not made for this. I too wound up switching to the PS2 and just was like, no, I can't do it. When I was going through the tutorial of this game, the controls didn't seem that daunting. They felt like they were pretty smooth. It was only when I was given no instruction on what to do and a very limited amount of time that I really started to feel, oh crap, I gotta do this thing.
I straight up had to look at the physical game booklet to figure out what buttons to press to do stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was a throwback. There's a lot of things about this game that are very 2001, and I'll tell you what, just playing the game, trying to learn how to play the game is very 2001. You have to just straight up read.
Because honestly, I am so used to being able to go into a game, be like, I don't need the tutorial. Let me just go in. And I did. I loaded into that first level without going to the tutorial. And I was like, all right, let me go to... Hi, Mr. Hawk. I'm here for school. What's going on?
It doesn't help that I don't know what any of the skateboarding terms are. So I'm like, okay, press this button to manual. Manually do what? Please tell me, Tony Hawk. I don't know. What is a bean plant?
And I will say that, I mean, the game does kind of have that jackassy, ha ha ha, look at you, you fell on your face kind of vibe to it. But Tony Hawk in that tutorial, he's like, hey man, I know you've never skateboarded before. Let me politely and gently explain to you these things. You're still not going to know what it means, but I felt so soothed by that that he was just like, it's okay. Papa's got you.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, even though I am never going to be up to his level, I still felt comforted by that, and then getting to do the free play. Like, I had a very fun time with that.
I did too. I could say the game really came into its own for me when I put in a cheat code to unlock all the levels and just started playing around wherever I wanted to.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Just doing all of the unlockables makes the whole game way more fun. Just, you can put in like a slow-mo mode, you can like make it so you don't have to balance for anything, all your balancing is perfect, and then you can go play as Darth Maul. And Darth Maul just hangs out on his little hoverboard skateboard with his lightsaber out for no reason. It's beautiful.
He doesn't get to cut anything with it, but he's there.
Yeah.
No, he just has it.
Yeah. And you get to play as Wolverine too. So that's two incredible characters.
Oh man, Wolverine's cool. Like, man, how 2000? Actually, I was about to say how 2001 is it to play as Darth Maul, but I'm like, no, Maul made a comeback recently, so that's not 2001 anymore.
It was very 2001 until about 6 months a year ago.
Yep.
No, I feel like it was longer than that. Darth Maul came back into his own on the Clone Wars TV show.
That's it. Yeah. When did he come back in Clone Wars? That's the actual.
I feel like
I don't remember.
Yeah, but I feel like he really became like, not just when he returned, but when he got in that final season of Clone Wars, which I think was actually last year or the year before. Like, that was when everybody was like, "Oh man, Maul's cool again," because he had that whole plot line with Ahsoka that went down. And then he made that appearance in that movie that no one watched from Solo.
Solo?
Yeah.
You mean my favorite, other than Rogue One, of those one-offs?
I'm gonna
Solo was a
disagree
fun
with
movie.
you. I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you. I think it was back when they went into like his whole backstory, and you get to go to his home planet and like spend time with like the Night Sisters, and you get to meet his half brother Savage Opress. that was the return of Darth Maul for me. Anyway,
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Falana, you have to keep in mind there are unfortunately a lot of people that did not give Clone Wars the true chance it deserved until he popped back up in that final season. And then people were like, "Wait, what?" And then you were sitting there like, "No, I was telling you all. He's back. It's cool."
I knew.
It is so weird.
I knew the lore.
Yeah.
This is so weird. Like, this is kind of a 2001 conversation because like this was when the prequels were still beloved. When we just had the first one, and people were just happy to have Star Wars back for a hot minute. And listen, I don't care what you feel about the prequels. Like, I kind of enjoy them for what they are. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to enjoy the thing that you love, but it's since we're talking about that era of time, since we're talking about that era in video gaming, it was a big time for Star Wars games as well. And like, it's very weird that so much is retroactively kind of looked at with vile rather than reverence, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the prequels have gotten their comeuppance like now too. Like, people are starting to be like, okay, we have nostalgia goggles for the prequels. We like them now.
I'm inclined to agree with you because I feel like they've definitely, because the people who grew up with them, like the guys who watched it in 2001 when they were kids, and have gotten. I think that's another reason why, like, to bring it back to Tony Hawk, why we're getting a remaster of Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, is because the age group of those people that were like kids in that era are becoming adults, and they look back on it much more fondly than the kids who were in the 70s watched movies at that point and were like kind of disappointed it wasn't like it was that moment of realizing that your cartoon is a cartoon, or as Teen Titans Go so adequately put it, you realize a clown is actually a clown. Not to give Teen Titans Go so much credit, but
I mean, there were a few incredible meta things that came out of that show.
There were,
and that deserves respect.
Real talk, I kind of love the prequels. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one day we're going to sit down and we're going to have a very in-depth conversation about Star Wars. We will, absolutely. But I have a very, besides movie 2, I have very fond memories of 1 and a reverence for the 3rd one in a big bad way. It's to give a little bit on my feelings on the second Star Wars film. That was unfortunately the film that I watched when I was younger that made me realize movies could be bad.
Oh,
I mean, I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But that was the movie that I went to as a youngin' and kind of came out of the theater thinking, I didn't enjoy that, but it was a Star Wars movie. I'm supposed to enjoy Star Wars movies. What happened, Galaxy Brain? Not all movies are great. And it was kind of like that. So I have this weird relationship with the second film because it was like my first kind of bad movie, if that makes sense, or a movie I realized was bad, as opposed to just a film that I didn't get. I assumed was either over my head or was for an adult or whatever. It was like, oh, well, I don't like this, but I'm sure it's because I'm the problem, No,
yeah. For me, my movie came a bit later than that. But the great thing about episode 2 being your experience with that is eventually you could go back with nostalgia goggles and go, well, at least I can still laugh at that within the context of the other 2 movies being pretty fun.
I don't sit there and begrudge Attack of the Clones like, you ruined my childhood, like strangling Hayden Christensen for no reason.
It taught you a lesson.
Yeah, exactly. To bring it back to Tony Hawk, this is the reason why I can look at this game not having played it as intentionally or as the way it wanted, because I can sit there and say, like, this is just not for me. This was not for me, is not for me. And I can kind of walk away from it going, like, that doesn't express its quality, it just means I didn't like it.
Yeah. And I think one of the key things that I took to heart with this is that skateboarding in and of itself was a very punk culture in its own form, and thus being a punky subculture, there is no official way to do it. Like, there is, but you don't have to do it that way. Yeah. And I think approaching this game with that approach, especially because there are cheat codes, you can still enjoy it. I think playing it not as intended is still as intended in a way.
I agree. And also, I feel like the way that it's a little antithetical to how we normally play video games in the control scheme also fits into this kind of counterculture. This was a game for people that hadn't played video games yet. And so if you're going from 1 to 2 to 3, it's just very easy and fluid. Like, this definitely feels like whatever this game was doing, it was doing really well. The fact I could do half of the things it asked me to do as easily as I was able to, and seeing what you could accomplish with the building blocks it gave me, absolutely. Like, this is definitely built very well, even if I didn't wind up unlocking all of the things that I could do with the tools they gave me.
No, yeah, once I unlocked the slow-mo mode and was able to actually sort of see what I was doing with my character, I could just do a bunch of, like, cool little flips and stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, this is super cool. And then I face planted anyway, but I made those combos.
Yeah, but it was cool while you were doing it.
Absolutely.
What else do you need?
My big thing was always I couldn't figure out how to build up speed correctly. To like, it was always random how far I was going to go on a jump. I couldn't get the science of that right.
You know, the physics of rail grinding in Sonic Adventure 2 made a bit more sense in my brain. But I think because that you always had such strong momentum that was the missing element here.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you build up momentum? I know you pressed X and you started to go faster, and that was going to do your... But I'm trying to think there, like, how do I build it up? How do I, like, I want to go faster. Do I have to do the push thing with my or is it just that you just keep going, and that's the more you do, the more you go, the more speed you get because you've done more and more, and like the momentum builds up that way? Because I see these guys on these videos and they're just going a million miles a minute.
Did you guys watch any speedrunners or just people that go a million miles a minute and rack up hundreds of thousands of points in the same? It took me to get like 10,000.
Yes.
It's incredible
and
what some people that are great at this game can do.
honestly, I watched my boyfriend play it, and like they had played it as a kid, and just watching them do it was incredible. They could just rack up, 80,000 points in just like one set of tricks, just
my God.
effortlessly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how?
There's nothing more emasculating than watching someone accomplish something that took you the better part of an hour to do in a minute. Like, not even that. Like just speeding through something in like 40 seconds or less, and just kind of being like, oh, all right.
I mean, honestly, I feel like people that are able to do that in this game should be able to put Tony Hawk on their resume, period, at any point in their life. And
Yeah.
Tony Hawk should respect that every single time he gets a call. Be like, oh yeah, they probably like maxed out my game. I'm gonna give them a fake resume, thumbs up.
You know what made me feel better? Is they gave you 2 separate videos of professional skateboarders just falling. They just fall
Yeah.
over a lot.
Just
Just compilation
yeah.
videos of them just like breaking bones.
Yeah. Which again added to that kind of that era of jackass, like, I will never hurt another person intentionally, but boy golly, I will do everything I can to hurt myself for fun.
Yeah. God,
Yeah.
as soon as you said jackass, like everything about that flooded back into my memory of like, and there's so much of that here, like you're talking about, like the way the guy lands, the cracks, the everything. It just takes me back to like, I'm so and so, this is jackass, and like, and Steve-O shoving a rocket up his butt, and everybody doing dumb shit to themselves, and a lot of skateboards and shopping carts.
Yeah.
Just anything with wheels that you could push down a giant hill.
And I mean, yes, there are things that like people that are professionals, like when you see Tony Hawk actually doing this stuff, always got the elbow pads, the knee pads, the helmets, landing tricks that are not nearly as crazy, because you have to in real life be a lot safer about this.
Yes.
But in a game, nah. In a game, you can live that fantasy.
You can grill grind up a not up a skyscraper, but you can grind right up a building and like jump off the second story and be fine. As long as you nail the landing, you're okay.
But you don't even have to nail the landing. You can fall on your head, crack your neck, and still like there's
Yep.
tomato juice on the floor, but then you stand right back up.
Yep.
No, yeah,
That's
there's just a
fine.
little smear there, but you're fine.
I will say, I think the most fun I had probably was with the tutorial, and I don't know if Falana will agree with me on this, but having your significant other there to try and like this feels so much better when you have someone else to play it with, because me and Nate went through the tutorials together. I went through and then he went through, and it was funny as hell, like, because like I got through it pretty okay, and then they would get stuck and just kept doing the same thing you're talking about, where they couldn't get used to not pressing forward, where they would go up the ramp and then just crash back down. But there was so much fun about watching someone else play and like passing the controller back and forth. And like when you start to get to the point where it's just you by yourself, you either have to hyper focus and just kind of get good, don't be a scrub. But like I feel like there's so much of that appeal. Probably what made this game great at the time it came out was just kids getting together and like, oh, let's play Tony Hawk. Oh yeah.
No, yeah, having
You go
somebody
for it.
on the couch with you is so much fun. You just shoot the shit, be like, my boyfriend constantly while I was playing was like, hey, Falana, don't fall sideways. Don't land sideways. Every time. And it was just a good time.
Yeah, because I played this one mostly solo because of the way with which I was playing it. But when this came out, it was around the time that I would be getting together with my friends and playing GTA, which we should not have been playing. So I can definitely, I can see how this game would have that same kind of appeal, where you do just
Yeah.
want to hang out, pass the controller around, mess around, see which kind of crazy tricks you can pull off. and just enjoy being a kid playing these games.
I'm with you, Kit. I wasn't playing this. Me and a bunch of friends got together, played games we were not age appropriate for. we went ahead and we went and got GTA 3 and we got the all weapons code and we stole an FBI car, and that was what we did. That was our weekend.
That, yeah, 100%. I was more because I was out and about with my friends pretending like we actually knew anything about skateboarding until one of us got hurt for real, and then none of us wanted to skateboard anymore, and we were tired to just playing GTA.
I had a bunch of friends who were skateboarders when I was a kid, and they would always try to teach me. But as with literally anything that required balance, I would just fall on my butt just 50,000 times. Never got the hang of it. There's something very alluring about just going after school and just sitting down in front of the couch and being like, okay, cool. I can be a skateboarder now.
Because skateboarding is hard. I mean, not once you get into it, I'm sure it's like riding a bike. You can, make it work. But this game did make it feel in some ways more approachable when you're playing that tutorial. But then, I know why I didn't do it when you get into the game and you're snapping your character's neck.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. It's just, there's something was very appealing about that section of the game that I never quite got back. And I feel weird. Like, I feel like, to an extent, I don't know. I feel like, am I asking for a different game if I asked for the levels to kind of continue in the same style the tutorial did, where they sort of not coached you, but gave you a thing at a time in whatever amount of time it was to accomplish it? Like, okay, go do this thing in this level. Go try and grind on the lava thing on the next assignment. Or is it better off the way it is, where it's just, here's the big open thing. We're not going to give you any hand holding whatsoever, no instructions. Get it done whatever way you can. Knock the foreman into the thing. Get the guy's tongue unstuck from the tree. Shatter this thing and smash all the pumpkins. Like, is it better that way, or do you feel like, no, here's an assignment and you can get it done in whatever time we want you to?
See, I think that for what this game is, I'm happy with it for the people that this game is for, but I think I'm with you. I would enjoy a skating game with this exact same mechanics, but more free worlds. Like, just give me a list of things with no time limit, or give me a cheat code where I can turn off the time limit. I think I would have enjoyed the career mode of this a little bit better if I had that freedom. But I will say that I did, again, enjoy my time going and sitting in the freestyle mode and playing and enjoying the music and enjoying the vibe. But I think I probably would have played it for one afternoon and then been very content with my experience were it not for doing this podcast.
Yeah. I'm also thinking, like, am I just asking for Tony Hawk to be Spyro the Dragon?
And I think you might be unintentionally.
You might be.
I think I'm unintentionally just. Yeah.
And I mean, I still had a lot of fun, like, exploring the levels in this game.
Oh gosh,
yes,
yeah.
Like, there's all sorts of weird hidden stuff. Like, in the Suburbia level, you have to find an axe for a guy, and then the guy lets you into a haunted house that is also like a half pipe. So you just, like, launch yourself up the side of the walls of the haunted house, and there's, like, little skeleton hands popping up.
Oh,
and you can, like, skateboard out of the window, and a bunch of, like, bats fly after you. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I like that.
It was, Suburbia was probably my favorite level out of the bunch. That was really, really good. I for all the reasons you just described, I think it really worked. And just the environment itself, like, you had the construction site you could go to, and just, like, being around the other houses. There's a guy with a barbecue and, like, just skating in the pool with graffiti, and it was just really nostalgic for some reason. So I really enjoyed. That was probably my favorite. Do you guys have, like, a favorite, like, stage that you really, really liked?
That was my favorite too, where it was just, for some reason, Suburbia is, like, the quintessential thing I think of when I think of skateboarding. Is just, you go visit whatever drained pool is there and just skateboard around in it and squash some people's pumpkins.
Yeah. But I think I have to say, aesthetically, hats off to the Tokyo level, in part because I love, give me any kind of loop-de-loop, and I think that's really neat. I like the way that they worked, and once I was, better at figuring out doing tricks, I love just going in and doing that freestyle. And I did really like the Canada one as well, specifically for that like fully wooded area that was like off the beaten path. Was really, really fun to just kind of mess around in.
Yeah. I spent way too much time in Canada.
Yeah.
Just trying to accomplish the goals there.
Yeah.
Way too much time in that level before I gave up and was just like, no, I need to experience the game, guys. I'm sorry.
I should see, because I was pulling up images and I forgot all of the advertisements on the Tokyo level specifically, but just in general, it was so cool and nostalgic to see reverence to so many brands that like I haven't really thought about in a while.
Yeah.
In a good long while.
But do we have a stage we really didn't like? Because like I would say this is one the second one I enjoyed was probably the cruise ship. I thought that was pretty fun. But the one I actually detested was probably the airport. I thought that was just miserable.
Really? Why?
There was so much room of nothing. I don't know. I find it very unappealing. I didn't dig the aesthetics. Maybe the missions were fine, I guess, but also it was just kind of like a big lot of nothing. Like I didn't have fun exploring it. It was just kind of like, all right, and then we get to the basement, and that's kind of like a skate park in the basement, which is weird but also cool. There's the way to get outside of it, which is also pretty fun, but like, it's just so big and there's nothing in it.
See, I enjoyed the little bit I played of it, but I didn't spend too much time there. I pretty much used it to practice grinding tricks, and then I moved on back to one of the ones that had more air stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if I put more time into it, or actually, because that I was fully in free play when I got to the airport, if I was trying to complete any of the goals, I probably would have hated it. I would have detested it.
Yeah.
Because I think, it didn't lend itself to exploration because you kind of grind through when you're done.
Yeah, there's not a lot there. But like I agree. I'm way more into like the stuff that's where I can jump up or get high into the air and find other areas just by like going through like those huge loops and whatnot. The competition levels also weren't my favorite, but I don't think they're anybody's favorite from what I understand. But they're still fine. It's like the only time you actually go to a skate park.
Yeah.
Which again, I think those ones especially were really fun to do as the free play because you got time to just kind of like run around them.
Yeah.
Because you had a minute each time and you had to be focused just on doing tricks to get through.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think we're all kind of had like very similar experiences on this one where this was really fun to an extent, but like this was never going to be any of our jams.
I would say that was my experience. I enjoyed it. I agree with the completionist rating of play it, but I could not imagine like trying to complete this game unless maybe you grew up with it, because I think there's just some skills that you had to learn early on in life. But I now know if I should do my kids the honor whenever I have kids, treat them to Tony Hawk early on in life. Give them that skill. Give them that resume piece.
Because there's just something interesting. There's something innately fun just about watching it. Because I'm watching this guy just plow through this in like 8.5 minutes. And it's insane and it's awesome. Or just watching these guys do like these crazy like over-the-top moves. Obviously, it's not like the same thing as like watching the live action tapes and seeing people in real life do this. But I guess a lot of the pearl clutching is gone. It's a little bit more calmer because I know nothing's going to happen to the video game character. So,
yeah. And there's something really captivating about just watching somebody really good at it play it.
Yeah.
And I remember when my boyfriend was playing it, they would be able to beat the timer just by a couple seconds before it went up. They would just start a combo and just keep on going on that combo for like a full minute of just like grinding or like doing a manual. just doing another flip and then doing like another ollie. They could just go and go and go.
See, I felt so cheated when I realized you could do that.
I never realized you could do that, but like that does seem like pretty cool. It's like, no, I'm going for a straight minute after the timer just to like prove I can do it.
Yep.
You know, because as long as you could keep it going, it lets you keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to grind on a little circular panel forever. That's fine. You can if you really want to.
I'm going to honestly say this is going to be the first video game we're going to have to put away that I'm pretty tentative about. Like, part of me really does want to kind of keep exploring it to an extent, unlike any of the other games where I feel like we beat it and that was fun and all right, time to put this away. You know, that was great times that we had. But yeah, this one, I almost feel like I wish this is like a, for lack of a better term, like this is the same appeal to me that like Yume Nikki does, where I could just pick that up and whatever point in time when I just feel like, you know, wasting away like 20 minutes of my life, I could just do that at whatever and just have something to do. And it feels like it kind of occupies that same space in my brain, even if that's not necessarily what it was for.
No, yeah, I caught myself, especially when because I finally got back into Dead by Daylight, I caught myself a lot of times, like, loading up the game and having that set up on my TV, so in between when I'm sitting in queue, I would just try to do a couple of tricks.
Right?
And then that was it. Then I was content with my Tony Hawk time.
Yeah, like, that's kind of how it appeals to me, as just this thing I can, like, because there's something really, like, cathartic or just calming or about just skating around the environment and just doing a jump or two. I don't know, just, man, that feels really relaxing and appealing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's so nice to just glide through the level, chill out, listen to the Ramones, just do a couple little flips, you're good.
Lo and behold, Tony Hawk was the Sonic game we always wanted.
See, that's the thing. Honestly, if there was a Tony Hawk Sonic mashup, I think that would have checked the boxes that we wanted.
Didn't we do that? Then wasn't that like Sonic Riders, the thing where he competes in a snowboarding or like some sort of board competition with like a bunch of birds?
Yeah, but I'm saying like one of those should have legitimately been if Jet the Hawk was actually like voiced by Tony Hawk, directly in like actually Tony Hawk's persona, and he had some involvement, I think Sonic Riders would have been an incredible franchise.
Probably.
God,
However, they just tried to knock off Tony Hawk, but didn't actually, you know,
I mean, he was a hawk.
get him involved.
Yeah, just have Tony the Hawk played by Tony Hawk.
the Hawk, TM.
There's no way they could have gotten away with that.
They could have if Tony Hawk was involved in it.
Yeah.
If they got the license via his actual likeness.
Yeah, brought him in to do voice acting, and they were like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Tony the Hawk, Sega, you missed your chance.
I mean, Tony Hawk's still around. He still skateboards. Theoretically.
He has such big dad energy.
Yeah.
Even in this video game, when you watch him in like the videos, he still kind of has that same kind of like, hey, I'm Tony Hawk. Welcome to my home. How is everybody? Oh, so nice.
Oh God. Can we talk about Tony Hawk's Twitter and how just about every tweet that Tony Hawk does is just, somebody told me I look like Tony Hawk. I said yes. I am in fact Tony Hawk. They did not believe me. Like, that's all of his Twitter. It's just like, somebody at the airport. Right? Yeah. Somebody at the airport reading his passport and going, oh, Anthony Hawk. Are you related to the skateboarder? Like, yes, I am.
I am Tony Hawk. Yeah, your name's just like Tony Hawk.
He's like, yeah, no, it's me. I'm the one.
Ma'am, it is me.
I'm that guy who guest starred on Rocket Power. That was me.
Yeah. See, and that is such a fascinating place for him to be in pop culture, because like these games inspired a whole generation of games. Like I believe this was the game that kind of pioneered the skating game genre.
Yeah.
And so he had such a massive cultural impact, and he's now in this kind of weird cryptid category where he is who he says he is, and people know who he is, but when confronted with him in real life, people can't believe that he exists. It's incredible.
I know who Jeff Bezos is, but if you were to ask me to pick him out of a lineup, I certainly couldn't, because he is the most nondescript looking white man possible.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
And
I kind of feel the same way about Tony Hawk.
Because Tony Hawk kind of is like your nondescript white stoner that skateboards.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
But like, you're not wrong about him launching an entire genre. Like, there's a demo on this game for another extreme sports title in this genre. With Tony Hawk, like everybody jumped on that bandwagon with the extreme biking and the snowboarding. Like, you know, there were all these big things that I'm sure if Wave Race 64 didn't exist, someone would have jumped on the Kawasaki, what jet skis. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is almost certainly why in the third Spyro game there are a series of skateboarding mini games.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah.
Like, and it didn't even like The Simpsons have a skating game. Like, it really hit everything.
Yeah, The Simpsons have like an extreme sport game of one kind or another. That like, jeez, there's The Simpsons also had a GTA knockoff game.
Oh, that game is really good, actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's pretty great. Like, I'm like, guys, if GTA is a bit much for you, which is perfectly valid, go pick up Simpsons Hit and Run. It's great because you also get like a 3D rendering of what the town looks like. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's full of like cartoon shenanigans too, it's good fun.
Yeah. I think we're ready to like wrap up here because we've all kind of felt like it's a very interesting experience. It's not like any of the other games we played where it gave us like that like little serotonin boost that we kind of needed in the moment. It wasn't the challenge we had to overcome or the like fun adventure level stuff. It was kind of like the, Mr. Hawk, talk me through my day. Yes, let me de-stress here with you. Like an ASMR, but with skateboards.
Honestly, if he ever decides to do like a self-help book or any kind of narration, really, sign me up. He has such a good voice for that.
I agree.
I don't know. It just seems like this game, it didn't quite hit for us. Sorry, Mr. Hawk, we didn't quite get it. Or at least not 100%.
Yeah. But we didn't dislike it either.
Yeah. We didn't walk away from this thinking it was like a steaming turd.
Yeah. We walked away very neutral, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it's not for us. But that's okay.
Bringing this back around to Star Wars, you can at a certain time admit something isn't for you, and you don't have to treat it like it literally like put sugar in your gas tank. You know, it didn't hurt you or like rip your childhood apart just because it's not as good as you remember or whatever. Like sometimes you can just look back on stuff and be like, oh, that was nice for what it was, but not for me.
Yeah. I enjoyed my experience. I can understand this being such a massive cultural phenomenon, especially for the people that played it back then. But, you know, I'm good. I'm good to have it just be there as my, I need a chill game to play for 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. And then I can put Mr. Hawk down again.
I'm actually going to, all right, I said we were going to wrap up, but hold on. Actually, I forgot that this game actually caused a huge existential crisis in me.
Wait, what? Explain?
Oh, no.
Because I have this game. I bought it. I own it. It's mine. It's in my collection. It's on the shelf. It's in that little section where the T for T's are on the PS2 shelf. And I'm realizing I don't necessarily really like this game all that much. And I'm holding it in my hands, and I'm like, do I sell it now? What do I do with it? Does it just go back on the shelf? Because, like, I kind of want to have this Tony Hawk game on my shelf because it's a very well-beloved game. And as I've discovered, and admittedly so, for good reason. But I'm not running a video game museum in my basement, so why would I keep it?
My thought on that, it is worth, like, a maximum of $5. Hold on to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, hold on
Yeah.
to it. Love it. And then one day, who knows? You might be able to pass it. It may become one of those things. It sits in your collection, and then you get to gift it to somebody one day.
There you go. Exactly.
So you can have the
Yeah.
emotional value of
Yeah.
passing it on.
Yeah.
For
All
a
right.
future little skateboarder in your life.
Yeah, as a treat.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, guys. As always, I can't wait to figure out what year in video games we are going to tackle the next time we get together. I think we may even have a special guest to join us on our journey into whatever time we get to travel to. Until then, thank you all for listening. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.